there is a very compelling argument that if next Sunday night the Minnesota Vikings get the 1 seed and Sam Darnold plays well, that he is the league's most valuable player. A wildly compelling argument. Here are his numbers for the season. It's just his. Those are, by any metric, MVP caliber. Now, they aren't
the best of a quarterback.
But they are across the board better than the guy who is the betting favorite in Josh Allen. So we show you Josh Allen's numbers compared to Darnold's. Darnold has him cooked across the board, except for rushing touchdowns, where Josh absolutely annihilates him, which, again, those are valuable, but it's it's a different type of thing. And the reason I said 5 guys is because Burrow's numbers are unbelievable. I just said Darnold. You said Lamar and Josh.
The other one.
Well, the other one has to be Jared Goff.
Oh.
Because if Jared Goff, if they win it and they're 15-2, so here's my point.
But you know the argument against Goff and Darnold. Darnold obviously has got his past to deal with, but they got so much more help. Now Lamar's got obviously Derrick Henry.
Joe Burrow's got quite a bit of help on offense.
Yeah, but when you think of the Detroit Lions, is Jared Goff the first guy you think of?
But that's where I'm saying I think it's a media. So here's my argument.
And same thing with
I mean, Lamar has Derrick Henry's better than any weapon Jared Goff has. And while Justin Jefferson's the best receiver, Joe Burrow has the best duo of receivers. True. And Darnold, the best tackle, any of them has Penei Sewell, but the second best one's Christian Darrisaw. He's been out for 2 months. He was the Vikings left tackle, all-pro caliber guy. He's been out. So here's the point I'm actually trying to make. Because
I thought you left the quarterback out.
Baker?
No, for an argument. I wouldn't vote for Jaden Daniels.
So I don't.
If we're throwing, I'm just saying he could be in the mix.
So I think that is.
I agree he shouldn't win it.
So, so here's the reason I said before the show that I was going to kind of throw a wrench in it. The argument. What is the argument against Darnold right now, other than he used to suck?
His wide receivers are too good.
Player.
No, but so hold on. But Justin Jefferson is better than Jamar Chase, but it is close. They are 1 and 2 in the league,
that's
probably.
Arguable. You can argue that.
And listen, Jordan Addison, I like him a lot as a player. He is not head and shoulders better than other teams' number 2 options. Now, T. Higgins is clearly the best one. Mm-hmm. And some of what has helped Josh this year, I think you would agree, is people didn't think they were going to be that good. Yeah. People thought the Vikings were going to be awful. And it is not because of the defense got the headlines early. It's been the offense.
It's true.
It's the argument. It's the reason you didn't have Purdy in the hunt last year. Now, Purdy did have the bad game against Lamar.
Yes.
And Darnold hasn't done that. But it was, as you were saying all year, Purdy wasn't their best player. Darnold's not their best player.
He's certainly not a better player than Justin Jefferson. He might be having the best year of anyone on the team. Justin Jefferson's year this year to me is not as good as Christian McCaffrey's last year. Justin Jefferson's having an awesome year, but not clearly the best receiver in football stats
Probably
this year.
Because he doesn't have the quarterback.
Maybe, but the reason that I'm oddly passionate about a guy who I don't even fully believe in Darnold is if he were just in the mix prior to a few weeks ago, it'd be like, well, what did he do down the stretch? Well, they're fighting to stay alive for the 1 seed in the division, and he has the play of his life to Justin Jefferson against Seattle, the play we played all the time. What did he do the next week against Green Bay? Had one of the best games of his life. If they go 15-2 and they're the 1 seed, how does he not have a real argument?
So who do you think is the MVP?
Right now it's Josh, but if Darnold plays great and they get the 1 seed.
So you would have Darnold second, kind of?
No, I don't think there's a clear second. I think right now I am putting a ton of weight on Josh's win over the Chiefs.
Okay. So, listen. This is why the MVP conversation continues to be a bunch of nonsense, because it's just made up. This is the definition of just a made-up award at this point. Because if you want to make the argument that Sam Darnold deserved the MVP, then Brock Purdy was deserving of the MVP last year. And again, this whole conversation of like, aren't you supposed to be able to do more with less? But if you do great and amazing with great around you, doesn't that also make you valuable? Because again, then you can make the argument that Jared Goff is the MVP. Sam Darnold is the MVP. And I've been praising Sam Darnold all season. When he said people thought the Vikings were going to be bad, I didn't think the Vikings were going to be bad at all. But then this is where you then do, like, this comparison actually kind of makes sense. If Sam Darnold went to the Bills, are the Bills better? The answer is no. The answer is no. If Josh Allen goes to the Minnesota Vikings, are the Vikings better? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I think Sam Darnold has been playing at an unbelievable level. And I do truly, from the bottom of my heart, think that Sam Darnold is an MVP candidate. And by like the second week of the season, I got in a fight with a Dallas Cowboys fan because I made a comment where Nick said, you know, the best quarterback wide receiver duo is Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. And I said, nah, get out of here. And I said, I got into the mic and I said, you know, Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson. And I had all these comments where they're like, oh, you just proved yourself to be a clown. You have no idea what you're talking about. You know, you exposed yourself as being dumb. You know, any of those common things that people say in those types of moments. And it's like, what you all going to say now? Exactly. And that was literally like the first or second week of the season. So I've been banging on the Sam Darnold drum literally week after week after week. And on this very show, ripped them to pieces for the constant pumpkin watch and all of that nonsense. And Sam Darnold has been playing unbelievable. And that's why, like, right, if they get the number 1 seed, like, it's just trying to figure out who the MVP is brutal. It really is. And I don't even know if it's fair to say, well, if we put Patrick Mahomes on this team or this quarterback on this team, would they be better or worse? If that's the solution either. Because then it would just be the same player then every single year in a lot of ways. It would just be this, you know, and that's why Nick, you know, earlier in the clip when he was talking more about Josh Allen, he's like, Patrick Mahomes should be the MVP, but he's not gonna. Because they have the best record and he's the most important player in all of the NFL. And it's like, So I don't know. And Kevin O'Connell does matter. Because he is unbelievable. And this is why when I made my Sam Darnold clip with the herd, I was like, you can't even be upset with Sam Darnold not being considered MVP. Because it just shows you how special this team is. How much they believe in the roster. How much they believe in the coaching staff. It actually, in a lot of ways, is a compliment. And I think Sam Darnold has been special. I think Sam Darnold is showing that he's like a literal top quarterback in the NFL, man. He's playing like an actual top 5 quarterback. I mean, he is making plays, make no mistake about it. He was a huge reason why they have this record, why they won. Even a game against the Packers, he is a huge reason why. It's not just taking advantage of Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold has to step up and make special, big-time throws. So it's not fair to kind of pull him down because of Justin Jefferson and Addison and Kevin O'Connell for that matter. Just like how I defend Joe Burrow, because they're like, well, Joe Burrow is Jamar Chase, and it's like, and T. Higgins, and it's like, and he's got nothing else. He's got an awful defense. He's never had a defense that has kept him in. And so, and Wild said, oh, well, Sam Darnold, I don't know if it was Wilds or Brew, where he was like, oh, you know, Sam Darnold has to deal with his past because he hasn't been good in the past. That drives me crazy. That has nothing to do with this season. The past is the past in that regard. Now, figuring out should someone win another MVP, that is where I think the past matters because it is a narrative award. So if you know someone, for instance, if Josh Allen already had 5 MVPs or 3 MVPs, 2 MVPs, yeah, he would be less likely to win it this year. Same thing with Lamar. If Lamar had no MVPs, Lamar's odds would probably even be higher because there is that voter fatigue. But in terms of you not playing great your first, second, and third, fourth year, but now you're playing great now, somehow now disqualifies you from being the MVP, I think that's absurd. And that is, though, people are trying to be like, well, he wasn't good before, he's good now, therefore it's not him, it's the team that made him good. And it's like, it's not really how this award's supposed to work either. Just like how the voter fatigue style thing, like you're either the MVP or you're not. Doesn't matter if you won 10. It's a made up award based off of thoughts and feelings, how anyone feels in that immediate moment. And people aren't empowered. The media, they're weak people, man. So no one's going to take a chance and say, I'm voting Sam Darnold. I'm going to speak it with my chest. They're going to be like, oh, well, everyone says that Josh Allen's the MVP. I'm going to vote with Josh Allen. I don't want to be the odd man out. But Sam Darnold does deserve to be in the discussion. And that's the thing that's annoying, though, too. Because it's like, oh, if they beat the Lions and are the number 1 seed, then he's the MVP. But if they don't, then he's not. And it's like, but that, it doesn't take away from his greatness. That's the same argument with Saquon Barkley. Like Brew said, oh, if Saquon Barkley breaks the record, the rushing record, he's the MVP. And if he doesn't, he's not. He's 100 yards away from the record, and he might not play in that final game because they have their seating locked up. It can't come down to this little tiny little thing like that. But, and I think the other problem in this conversation, and now that we've entered Sam into the conversation, it's frustrating because when you have this MVP conversation, you're forced to bring other people down. Like, by definition of this conversation, you are forced to blow out the candle of someone else, to brighten the fire of the other person. And so here I am praising Sam Darnold. And I even said throughout the season he should be in the MVP conversation. And that the Vikings are going to be great. And the Vikings are going to be contending for the number 1 seed. But then you're making me forced me to be like, well, if Josh Allen was on the Vikings, the team would be even better. And it's like, that's not a conversation that I really want to have either. Although it is true. And you could be the biggest Sam Darnold fan or the biggest Vikings fan, and it's okay to accept that as a truth. And it doesn't take away anything from the special of what Sam Darnold has done with the Vikings. And in a way, this problem that we have right here with the MVP, on one side, I'm kind of like, can we solve this problem? And on the other side, I'm kind of like, the NFL doesn't even want to solve it. Because what would sports talk shows, what would they talk about? What would the discussion be? There's been, especially on First Things First, a huge part of their segments have been this MVP conversation. And I'm personally over it. I really am. I'm personally over it. I saw this great clip that I was going to play before, but I don't know if I'll be able to. And it was the one guy, I think it was the guy who does Red Zone on NFL Network. I think it was him. I'm not sure. I saw it like this morning when I was like just waking up. And he went on a whole rant about the MVP and it's nonsense. And, you know, how it's like if you want it to be all stats, well, then Joe Burrow wins it. If you want it to be head-to-head, well, then, and best record, then Patrick Mahomes wins it. Like, it's just like you can make the argument every single way. And each individual fan base just wants their guy to win. And so it doesn't really become like a real discussion. And it makes everyone kind of hostile towards each other. You have Lamar Jackson fans saying that Josh Allen's trash. Josh Allen fans saying that Lamar Jackson's trash. You have Josh Allen fans saying like, Sam Darnold, are you serious? You know, and it's just like, I don't know. It just degrades into chaos. But, you know, I don't know. That's kind of like 75% of sports talk anyway, is just, you know, disorganized chaos. I was going to say organized chaos, more like disorganized chaos. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Sam Darnold being the MVP with the Minnesota Vikings this year over Josh Allen, if they get the number 1 seed? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.